What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Giselle. I'm here with a very special guest for you today. His name is Kwame. He is an MRI technologist, and you guys have asked for other modalities. I'm going to get a bunch of different modalities on here for you guys to learn about them, not just ultrasound. We all work together. We are all needed in the radiology field. And so I've got MRI Man, that's what they know him as, here for you guys today to talk about MRI. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a new podcast. Look at his setup. He's all ready to go. I'm so excited to have him here. So welcome to the channel. I appreciate you being here, and I just want him to introduce himself. He's been a tech for 4 years. I'm going to get you on here so everyone can hear about MRI.
Yeah, what's up? Thank you, Giselle. Thank you for having me on here. My name is Kwame, aka MRI Man. Follow me on YouTube, MRI Man. I also got an Instagram at The Real MRI Man. I've been doing MRI for 4 years. I went to a private school, and I'm from California, Southern California, San Fernando Valley. If you're familiar with that, I'm now living in the Central Coast. I started YouTube back in 2017, just recording, talking about MRI. Recently, I've been taking it more serious, doing more videos, putting more content out. And yeah, I enjoy teaching and spreading the knowledge, Glad to be on, ready for this interview.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. For those of you guys who don't know, we have a Discord community, and what started off as ultrasound, it's now growing into become more radiology. We want other radiology students in there as well. So, we've got some X-ray techs in there, CAT scan, and of course, MRI. We also, in this field have nuclear medicine and I believe PET scan, but a lot of us don't know about each other's fields, right? Because we're very much so in our own field. So just kind of explain what MRI kind of is.
MRI is the machine is a magnet that works with radio frequency to take images of several different body parts. So MRI can be done for like several body parts. Typically, we scan a lot of brains, abdomens. Someone comes in with headaches. We're gonna constant headaches for several months. We're gonna scan their brain. Somebody's having abdominal pain. We scan their abdomen for tears like in the knee, meniscus tears, ACL tears, everything. I mean, we're looking at muscle, nerves, tendons, pretty much like anything like that. Any part of the body, it's getting very detailed images.
Seen some MRI images. A lot of times when I do ultrasound, we check for priors, and we have to see, okay, if they ordered an abdominal ultrasound, for example, that patient has pain, and we look at their priors, say they have an MRI of the abdomen or a CAT scan of the abdomen. We actually look at your guys' pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So we like scroll through and we're like,
yeah.
So it all works together. I mean, ultrasound is really good with like soft tissue, fluid, organs, but I think your guys' is like overall you can see a lot more density wise and like differences inside of the body than an ultrasound would.
Yeah,
it's all important together to have all the different modalities.
Mm-hmm.
And what made you want to go into MRI?
Let's see. I was a phlebotomist for like 5 years. I got tired of that, and I was thinking about becoming a nurse, but then I kind of found out what nurses do. I didn't really like it. And then I had a friend that I ran into, and he was a MRI tech, and he was telling me about it, and he was like showing me different images and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, that looks, really, it was just the pictures that amazed me. I always like everything in the medical field. I like, the anatomy and physiology, and I like, to learn about how the human body works, and just basically the images and being able to see inside somebody like that was very cool. I was going to do x-ray, but I didn't really want to be around the radiation. And then I knew some x-ray techs, and I didn't like the amount of work they did and for what they got paid, you know what I mean? It wasn't much more than what I was getting. So I was like, oh, let's check out the MRI. That's kind of why I chose MRI. It was just probably the images, how they looked, and I thought it was cool. Like, it was just interesting to me.
Yeah. A lot of times people have no idea about radiology unless someone tells them about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, a lot of times people look at the medical field and they only think about nursing first, or they think about doctors first, but they don't think about us little radiology. We're a great field. But like you said, for the pay, each modality has a different, I think, pay range.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about what the range is for MRI?
Yeah, I can mostly just talk for California, and I've talked to several techs, and I worked in different parts of California. I worked in Southern California when I got out of school. I know that there's a one particular imaging center that this was a couple years ago. This was like 3 or 4 years ago, and the starting pay back then was probably like $29 an hour. That's at an outpatient center, like out of school. I'm saying like around that 29, and then in the Central Coast, I'm saying it's more in the higher 30s, like 35, 37 outpatient center with maybe at least like a year experience. And
Mhm.
then I worked in a hospital in Northern California, and they were paying like $50 an hour, but that's like with 1 to 2 years experience. And that's pretty much it. And then like I hear people making like in the Bay Area making around $60 to $70, but those are like more of those like UCSF and stuff like that, making like a lot of money up there. Of course, you got to consider the rent, paying rent and stuff like that. So it kind of bounces around, but I noticed that like depending on what you know, like if you know more how to do more scans, because there's when you ask what we do in MRI, it's like it's so many things. Like I can talk for like hours. There's like we're looking at the arterials. There's like an MRA looking at the circle of Willis, cardiac MRI where you're looking at the heart. There's, lower like soft tissue stuff where you can look at masses, muscles. There's, just the typical MSK stuff. There's just so many things. There's so many things you can look at MRI. But in a hospital, when I was working there, is more like a stroke hospital. So we do, these quick brain scans where we can see if they had a stroke. It's called DWI. It's like diffuse weighted imaging. So you can see certain parts of the brain will like enhance or brighten, and you can see if they had a stroke or how long they had a stroke. So it just MRI can get very. There's just so many things you can do. Like I'm not really sure what they can't do. I think the only scans that we can't really do is like lungs. The lungs don't come out good because of all the breathing motion. We don't MRI ribs, but I would say every body. You can image any body part. Like I'm saying, like the chest. There's MRI of the breast. You can scan anything in MRI. It's like bones, everything. There's like no limit to it. So
So you can the range is really wide. What do you do as a tech? Like, so what would you say is like your normal day to day? How's it go?
Um, I was like, okay, so when I get there in the morning, the machine's probably going to be off. The machine never turns off in MRI, so the magnets are always on. That's something you should know. But the computer itself, you power it up. And then if it's a Monday, you're gonna run like a QA, and you put like this. It's like called a Phantom, has like all this liquid and fluid in there. You put it in, make sure you measure it, make sure the measurements are right on the Phantom, like after you scan it, because that's very important. Because when the radiologist gets the images, they have to measure like the masses and stuff. So you do that, and then you should probably you would have already checked your orders from like the last 3 days, but you still kind of look at your schedule. When I get to work, there's probably already 2 patients waiting for me, so I just check the order again, set up the table, then I go screen them. There's a form, MRI safety screening form that they have to do, and it's basically checking if they have any implants in their body, just like, and then I'm going to get their history from them. If they're doing like, let's say a brain, I'm going to ask them stuff that pertains to the brain, symptoms in that, dizziness, headaches, those kind of things, get that down. How long has it been going on? Have you had priors? Have you had surgery? All that stuff, get them changed, put them on the table, and then scan them. It's like a typical brain scan's probably like 15 minutes, no longer than that. If they're getting contrast, probably start an IV before, and then we'd put them on the table, and it keeps going like that, And where I work, there's 2 machines. There's like, say there's one machine, I'm scanning right here, and then there's a machine behind me, another tech scanning, and then we have a third tech just getting the patients. Like they come in like an hour later, like after I come in, and we kind of like rotate. And it's probably there's like 36 patients a day, or like somewhere around there, like 28 to 30. Yeah, so it gets busy. Outpatient center.
Yeah, that sounds really
Um,
busy.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy right now. It
Um,
is crazy.
so dang, 30 patients. It sounds like you do much more than just, grabbing the patient, putting them on the table. You do all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff and you prepare them and you get them ready and all this stuff. So it's more than
Mm-hmm.
just what people probably think is a simple job.
Yeah. So it's more than just me just putting them on there and pressing a button. I'm gonna have to get a lot of history from them. Sometimes they don't know, where their last scan was or why they're even there. Sometimes they come and I'm like, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" And they're like, "I don't know." And then you have to like look at their notes. Or like, "Oh, this person has amnesia or something." You're like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Or sometimes we have to sedate them. We actually give them sedation. The doctor orders, or the radiologist orders it, and we give them sedation, which is, I didn't never expected that I'd be giving out like Valium, but we give out Valium and we have to monitor them. We definitely have to make sure they have no metal on them because, as you know, all that stuff's gonna fly in the machine. Very strong magnet, very dangerous. The heavier the metal is, the faster it's gonna fly in that magnet. Positioning the patients can be a little difficult sometimes. We use these things called coils, or like antennas, and if you guys look it up later, there's like, for instance, the brain. It looks like kind of like a helmet, like a football helmet, or they say like a space helmet. And you have to put them in there, give them earplugs, very loud, and other things. There's like these other coils that are like flexible, where you can kind of like, they're like shoulder pads. You kind of like fold them over their shoulder or on their hand, and you have to like position them right. You can't like save your position in the hand. You can't have it all like flat. You have to have it like in the correct way. So after that, setting up a scan, there's like some physics involved, but the computer does a lot for you, but you have to you have to do the correct angles for certain scans. Like, say for instance, like a hand, you're gonna have to angle to certain bones. You can't just press a button. There's like several little slices that you have to angle it with, and you can set up how fast the scan is, and you can mess with the parameters, and you're seeing the images live, and you have to make sure the quality is good, that the patient's not moving. Sometimes the patient is scared and you have to get them out fast, and you have to change it real quick. Or sometimes the patient has metal in their body, like implants, and you have to do a different protocol for that. And there's like protocols for everything. There's like say someone has like a seizures, there's a seizure protocol. You got the angle through the temporal lobe, and you have to add they have like different sequences. You have to add some stuff that makes fat bright or fat dark. There's just so many things, and it's like, I don't know. Like, you go to school for 2 years, but it's gonna take you like another year just to get okay at it. And I've been doing it for 4 years, and I'm still like, I learn a lot every day. And I work with some guys that are like been doing it for 20 years, and they're still learning. So there's just so much information, and it's hard to be perfect at it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of stuff I had no idea about. So you went to school for 2 years, and so how does that process go? If anyone's interested.
Okay, so you're gonna have to decide if you want to go to a private school, or do you want to go to like a community college. I checked my community colleges, and when I was living in LA County, all the colleges were like 3-year waits, and I needed to get to work quick. I had 2 kids, I have a wife. I'm like, I need money. I decided to go to a private school. I'll tell you guys, I went to Castelloma College. It's in Van Nuys, California. Very great school. I suggest check it out if you're in that area. And so yeah, I went there, and it was perfect for me because I was working full time as a phlebotomist. But then I can go there on Saturdays for like 8 hours, and then do some online classes and just get everything done. It was hard. It was a lot of memorization stuff, and anatomy, physiology, which I was used to because I was a phlebotomist. Well, I'm actually a medical assistant too, but I never worked as a medical assistant because I didn't like it. I was just a phlebotomist. But people don't know, like, medical assistants are pretty smart. Like, they know a lot. You learn a lot in that class. So that helped me. So I flew by in the anatomy and all that stuff. Like, that was easy. And then there was some physics, which wasn't too bad. I mean, I was never really good at math. So people always ask me like, "Oh, I'm not good at math." I'm like, "Well, I wasn't either. Like, I did terrible at math." But physics was different. It's more like, just you learn the formulas, and it's not that bad. And yeah, it was cool. Like, I just went there. It was all day though, like 6 to 8 hours, and I did it. It's like an AA degree in science. A lot of like filler classes, which I just didn't even know what they had. I mean, you take like English, psychology, and I don't know. You take these classes, but I'm like, that's cool. But the core classes are at the school, and then you go on those clinicals. It's like 8 months, and that's when you're really learning. It was hard though. It was hard working full time, and then going to school. It's like it's very hard. So if you could avoid working, that's awesome. But I had to work and go to school, and it really took a toll on me, man. I was tired. Like I was gaining weight. I was missing every birthday, but it was worth it. So
There you
two
go.
years of your life, my life changed big time. I'll be honest with you. My life has changed dramatically. I was struggling bad. Like
Mm.
I was living in LA, but I was living in Burbank, and I don't know what we were doing living there, but yeah, rent was expensive and we couldn't really do anything. We're just stuck in the house all day. It was just the same thing over and over going around. But yeah, I decided to go back because I was like, man, I don't want to live like this. And yeah, my life has changed for the better, and I'm very thankful for my friend, for telling me about it. Because if you didn't have to tell me about it. It was more of like he wasn't a real good friend. He was a friend, but he definitely didn't have to tell me. If he never would have told me, I don't know if I would have really found out, because I never really knew what MRI was. I knew, like you said, like I have an idea what it is, but I didn't know what they did, and I didn't know it was possible for me to go back to school. I think it was like 25 when I went back the second time,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I was old. I thought I was too old to go back to school. It's so weird, like after college or whatever, and I don't know, I was in and out of college, but after like I got a phlebotomy and blah blah blah, did that medical assistant, like I thought I was old, like I was like 23, 24. I was like, I can't go back to school, I'm gonna be that old guy. But that's not true. Like I know, I wish I can get her to do an interview, but I don't know if she'll do it. She's like an x-ray tech, and she went back to school and she was like 50. So I mean, it's just all about, I think it's all about how motivated you are, really. If you're motivated to complete something, a task, like I think it's possible. That's inspiring to just see people go back to school and become something, and it's awesome. That's why I like being on here too, just sharing my story. And everybody has a story, so I think everyone should tell it. I mean, because it's inspiring. Like it's awesome. Yeah.
That's exactly why I started my channel too. I felt like if I could just help one person change their life, then my life has been made, right?
Right.
And I know that, your story is very inspiring. Everyone's got a story. Like you said, I took 6 years, in school. And I also, when I was younger, was thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is taking forever. And I know people who
Hmm.
comment on my videos, there's an 18-year-old saying,
Wow.
feeling like they didn't know all this stuff, and I'm like, you're still 18, you're still
Yeah.
young. You have so much life ahead of you. I've got a bunch of sonography students who are in their 30s, their 40s.
Hmm.
I've had
Nice.
a over 50-year-old. She was like 54. She was
Wow.
shadowing at my hospital. So, it really is up to the person. And I love what you're doing. I love your channel. So definitely, you
Thanks.
guys, if you really want to know more about MRI, head on over to his channel. I'll put his links in my description box below so you guys can go see him. You can also join our Discord community so you can ask him straight up any questions you have.
Yeah, sure.
It's awesome. I'm glad that you were able to share your story, and you're happy, I'm sure, of where you're at now.
Hmm.
So, do you have any advice for anyone who wants to go into MRI, like what they should do?
Yeah, before you just hop in, because I know a lot of people that just kind of hop into it, or I talk to them and then next thing they call me, oh, I'm in school doing MRI. I'm like, wow, you didn't even, I would say watch as much as you can, like YouTube, ask me a bunch of questions. And really, if you can actually go and kind of like get in there and just kind of see what they're doing, or get a job as a front desk person and, go back there and see what they're doing, and before you hop in it, because it's hard to tell what it really is. And make sure, a couple of things I would say before you even get into the medical field is make sure you like dealing. We don't deal with people as much as nurses, but make sure you like dealing with people and you care about people and you want to help people. Make sure you got patience. MRI, I would say you have to be pretty good at the computer. And the most important thing of all, it has to interest you, like the anatomy and physiology. It has to interest you. That has to be interesting to you. Looking at the images, seeing different things, like it has to interest you, because if you do it just for the money, eventually it's going to wear on you and break you. And it's cool to see young people get into it, but at the same time, when I see somebody that's super young, I'm like, ooh, are you sure you want to do this? I worked with some techs that are really young. They got out of school at 18, they became a tech at 20, 21, and they're getting in there and they're just hating it. I'm just like, why did you do that? Or become a phlebotomist, or I would say become a phlebotomist. That's like, I would say that's cool because it's like 2 months. It's pretty cheap. I've heard a couple thousand, and you can get in there and just start looking around like, hey, what can I do? Because you're going to be sticking people anyway in MRI, CT, and there's other things. You may want to be like a pet tech. You may want to be an ultrasound tech. There's so many different things. So I would say just slow down, make sure it's the right choice, and don't force it. I mean, if you can't find something, like it took me a while. It took me till I was like in my mid 20s, 25, and it's hard. It's hard. But if you're watching this video, you're already doing the right thing. I would say just follow Giselle and follow me, and just talk to people, ask us questions, and see if you can shadow, if you can peek in there. I mean, that's my advice. But if you decide to become part of the medical community, that's awesome, because I think we need more people. And I just enjoy working with people that love their job. It really drags me, and I hate working with people that just they're there and they complain the whole day. Oh, it's too busy. Oh man, oh, too busy. And it's like, to me, if it's busy, you should be thankful like that we have a job. And that's like job security. When I see patients coming in, I'm like, all right, yeah, they need me now. And then it makes me feel better. Like I scan people and sometimes I see them in the streets or whatever, and they're like, I'm part of the community, I'm helping the community, and they're like happy to see me. Hey man, you helped me that one time, you found the mass in my brain, and I'm good now, and thank you very much. And I love that. That makes my day. And it's a respectable career. And all the time people tell me, like, I've never had anyone tell me. I used to work in the dish room when I was like 19. So I never had anyone say, hey, you have a good job. I have people tell me all the time, like, I don't need people to verify it, but it's like crazy. Like, people are like, hey, you have a good job. You're doing great. Keep it up. I'm like, sometimes I forget what I'm doing. I get caught up in everything, but like, it's just great what you do, Giselle. It's amazing. Like, I feel like radiology doesn't get as much respect, but as the nurses are in COVID, they're like, oh, the front lines. I'm like, hey, we're still working too, though. You know what I mean? I worked in a hospital too. The nurses were bringing me patients and they were all geared up. And this is in the mix of COVID, like last March. And I didn't have anything. I was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, this guy has COVID maybe. I'm like, what the hell is COVID? Like, where's my PPE? And they'll just drop them off and leave. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, but I feel like the techs deserve more too, because we do a lot. And we're smart too, man. Like, we went to school and we're a big part too of the community. So that's why I like being on here too. I mean, I feel like the techs are not getting the fame, and all the nurses getting the fame on Instagram. Where are the techs at? So I don't know.
No, I totally agree
You
with
know what I
you.
mean?
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate it. I appreciate what you do. I mean, I tell everyone all the time, like, we all need each other. I know back in the day too, there was like this feud between like ultrasound, X-ray, CAT scan,
Oh, big time.
and I
Mhm.
don't know why it was what it was. I remember even like when I was a student, it was still a thing, right? But
Mhm.
and we're all fairly new to this world, but my hope is that in the future it becomes better and we bring more awareness and we bring more
Yeah,
to radiology in general. So I appreciate what you're doing. I remember stumbling upon your channel and I was like, oh yay, so thank you for being here.
cool.
I appreciate it. There's one more question I want to ask you because
Yeah.
it's something that everyone always asks me about, and I have no idea how to answer their question, but it's about ARRT. I know that's
Mhm.
an exam you have to do, and sometimes for ultrasound students, there are some schools that require you to take the ARRT. What does that entail?
So I guess back in the day, you could do like let's say you can do X-ray, pass that ART, and then you used to be able to just kind of like cross train into MRI and CT just like easily. And I think a few years back, they started requiring people going into MRI to actually sit for an ART test to get the license and credentials, in which you would have to study MRI and do a bunch of exams and have a bunch of hours required by the ART. It's like all on their website. And it's because MRI is so different from X-ray. It's not the same. Like, the physics is different, the safety is different, and it's just way different. MRI is so complex. They decided that, hey, we got to educate these people because it could be a safety problem, I think, at the most. And Yeah, so now you have to, if you want to cross train from X-ray to MRI, you got to now sit for a test. And I'm seeing X-ray techs get in. Some of the older techs got grandfathered in, and they don't have to take the MRI ARRT. But now, if you're wanting to cross train, you're gonna have to study for the MRI. You're gonna have to learn MRI physics. You're gonna have to learn all the parameters.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is. It's not an easy test. So the X-ray techs do it. I've seen a couple of them, just studying really hard, and yeah, that's the probably the hardest part. And then learning on the job and finding a place that wants to sit with you and train, because it could take some time.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me about that. I know we could talk
Yeah,
for hours and hours.
yeah, easy.
I could talk for hours. I know you could talk for hours, but then we'd have a really long video.
Yeah,
I want them all to check out your page. So if you guys have any other questions, anything at all, comment down below. Also go to his page, subscribe to him, and yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. I appreciate you being here and talking about MRI, and hopefully we get some people to decide to kind of go into radiology.
yeah, for sure.
I appreciate it. Anything else you want to tell them before we go?
No, not much. I mean, follow your dreams. Don't give up. I know it can be hard sometimes, and it is tough times. A lot of you probably stuck, don't know where to go, lost, working some dead end job. But just remember that that job that you're doing right now, it doesn't define who you are. Just know that that job is temporary and something better is ahead of you.
Yeah.
That's my advice. I've worked at Target. I've had all kind of jobs. I worked at Target. I don't care. Whatever job I did my best. So just do your best and know that put your mouth, bite it down on your mouthpiece and run through the hole. You know what I mean? Like, just don't give up. You
Yep.
guys can make it.
Yep. Do your best. Don't give up. Look at us now. You guys just know this is possible. And getting into the medical field is possible. And
Yeah.
you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse to make that good money. You can make that good money just by working hard and loving your job.
Yep. And then you'll be going to Disneyland, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
We'll be going to
The
Disneyland.
Disneyland Resort.
I can't wait till they open up.
Yeah, me too. We were supposed to go on last year in May the 4th, be with you. Like we never saw the Star Wars stuff. So yeah,
Oh,
hopefully soon.
yeah, hopefully soon. And when they
Open
open,
it up.
maybe we can all go together. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh, hey, open it up for the healthcare workers at Disney. If you're watching this, right?
Yes,
That would
please.
be cool. Imagine Healthcare Worker Day.
Why haven't they done that?
They should. We should be the first.
Yeah, we should petition. Come on,
That's
Disney.
a good one. Come on.
Well, I appreciate you so much. Hopefully, we can get you on in the future.
Yeah,
And
anytime.
thank you for being here, you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button. Go over to his channel, hit that like button. Always be kind to one another. Stay safe and stay positive. And you guys will see you on the next video. We'll see you on
Peace.
his channel too.
Later.